What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Giorgio Says podcast, where I dish the latest and greatest on Bravo TV, Housewives, and other pop culture phenomenons, but mostly Bravo TV and Housewives, I would say. Today's episode was very impromptu, but I'm always happier when it's that way because honestly, it feels like a more organic conversation. And, I was on live. Well, actually, no, I was on Instagram yesterday morning and I saw Housewives and Chit Chat on live. And I heard some things that were like, made my eyes kind of pop out. And I thought, what is this about? So I joined the live. And Tyler, who is also on today's podcast with Elle from Housewives and Chit Chat, was basically reading an article pertaining to there's a lawsuit going on, or alleged lawsuit. Now, this article is on law.com, and it's not the most prestigious outlet in terms of like delivering news. And I believe this was a sponsored article of some sort. So it was interesting reading it. But then when you read it, it almost it sounds like a very odd movie, like a Lifetime movie. It alleges that Erika Jayne was posing as Erica White, and her and Tom had a fake Italian passport in order to open up this bank account where they would have access to $27 billion settlement fund. And so, but in that, and we get into this in today's episode, it's just interesting because if that were the case, my question was, why would they even bother taking the other client settlement money if they had access to 27 billion? I mean, that's a lot of money. So it's interesting. We'll have to see. It's more about the names that are in the article, not so much Erika. Just to preface, this lawsuit is not towards Erika. It's towards Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. But the people named in the article is what brought us on to do this podcast. So without further ado, I don't want to chat your head away before we get into the episode, but I do want to let you know that I am very, very grateful to all of you who have subscribed to my Patreon. And I have a new episode coming out this Friday. It's a deep dive on the Hiltons and Kardashian blueprint, if you will, and kind of how it all ties back into Housewives. It's like I've been saying this, all roads lead back to Housewives. Nonetheless, let's get into today's episode. Give me a follow on TikTok if you're not following me, at Giorgio Says. On Instagram, it's at Giorgio Not Armani. And if you're on Twitter and you feel like tweeting at me, it's at Giorgio Speaks. We have Elle and Tyler. Elle is Housewives and Chit Chat, and Tyler is Real Boring Housewife. Let's get into today's episode. Let's go.
Welcome to the Giorgio Says podcast, spilling the tea with Giorgio Takanokis. If you love to keep up to date with all the latest pop culture news and celebrity gossip, then this is the podcast for you. Now, please welcome your host, Giorgio Takanokis.
All right, guys, welcome to another wild episode of Giorgio Says, the podcast. I'm your host, Giorgio, and I have two lovely ladies joining me today. They are both actual housewives. I just am one in my head. And we want to talk about a couple things because some things broke, right, guys? And it was actually Elle's live that I stumbled upon, where I was listening to some very eye-opening things, if I should say. And I had to figure out what was going on and what was this tea all about. So we're going to be talking about that, giving our perspectives, obviously, as we always do. We are live also on TikTok, so this is a first for this podcast. But thank you guys for jumping on very short notice, and let's dive right in. So where do we start? I don't even know where to start.
So I think what had happened was Tyler and I, Real Boring Housewives and I, started doing a live on Thursdays, just all encompassing TikToks, all of that. And then some news broke and she messaged me like, we have to go live. So in addition to Erika getting served, there was this lawsuit that came out that named a bunch of big players, big people, including Mauricio in Erika Jayne's mess. So our good Tyler is a printer. She likes to print and highlight things. So we were on live and she was reading, and Tyler, you can do your thing, of course, and recap, give us the shorthand version, but she was reading all of this nonsense that basically, if found out to be true and if gone forward, could really just unravel the whole Beverly Hills cast.
Correct. We did do the live earlier today, and I did do my dramatic reading. And then I went on Twitter just to see what was going on. Dana Wilkie also was discussing this. This is a civil case.
Okay.
And the plaintiff is Bank of America, I believe, and Merrill Lynch, correct? Now, another TikToker that I saw, his video on Twitter said, the person who filed this is representing themselves. So is it Ron Richards?
Yeah, Ronald Richards.
He said that the law.com article is sponsored. So he said, kind of take that as you will.
Okay.
And then I saw a little bit of the Erika fan base saying that, well, you know, this the plaintiff in this civil suit, the Mr. White, oh, he doesn't exist. Well, I did a quick Google. He exists. Everything that was said biographically about him is correct. You know, all his lineage. So I don't know what this means, but my question is, for all the names that were dropped in this civil proceeding, the civil suit, what happens if you do this? And obviously it's going to have an impact no matter what. What happens to all these people that were named? Say the agency, Hilton Highland. Do they have recourse at this point if this is totally a fake, false lawsuit, civil suit?
Oh.
This is a heck of a lot to be false. And I know that we are in this era of clickbait and clout and all of these things. But quite like the Diana Jenkins situation, what do you do to people that they get this upset and this is the lie that they tell?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't see a world in where at least 70% of this turns out to be true. Maybe I could even see maybe not even play by play, like dates being wrong, but this is very detailed to be fake.
It's very detailed, very detailed.
I almost wonder, it's very bold. So I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, like,
yes,
this was planted. It's not really credible. It's outlandish even. I think maybe this is what you asked, is then can these corporations essentially come after legally, which I would think, yes, right? Doesn't this fall under some sort of defamation of character
for sure.
Like,
yeah.
It's not a like, oh, you're a horrible person or you're not a good company. This is like, and to your point, the detail with names and why so specific?
Right. Very specific. We have fraudulent passport, fraudulent birth certificate, fraudulent name, the spelling house, which we discussed earlier, an iconic piece of property, the number, the billion amount. That is a rather large
number to make up. But on Giorgio's side, to play, like, let's just say, right, it was made up. To what end? Where do you go from making up something like this?
No, I'm not saying people aren't nuts. Okay.
For sure, people are nuts.
And I'm not saying that there aren't, like, I don't know if you guys have even like probably gave up, like a lot of people, but this whole Patrick Sommers saga is still rearing its head here and there. And it's weird because it's like people were like, you know what? This guy's nuts. He's like someone who's a big fan and is just trying to get clout. But then he's coming every single time he pops his head. He's got these receipts, if you will, DMs or text messages even. And then it's like what his last thing was, it got a lot of people like being like, I'm not ready to throw this in the trash yet, was the whole
The
Kathy
Jen
Hilton
Shaw.
situation in his last, I think it was like maybe a few days ago,
Mhm.
where the trailer, the mid-season trailer dropped, and he went straight to the Instagram stories and said, see, you guys are going to see exactly what this is all about. And so people that were kind of like, no, he's crazy, are starting to be like, wait a minute, what's the deal
I
here?
have a point, right?
But wasn't he also in some nonsense where he allegedly was arrested in connection to the Jen Shaw?
Well, there's no actual public record of that, as far as
Mhm.
I know. And I know some other accounts did some digging because of the fact that it's so bold. You know what I mean? Like being
Right.
arrested for something. Well, that's pretty easy to find
Right.
in terms of that. And so, and he is affiliated with some of the organizations and brands, because I'll go and cross-reference it
Mhm.
to see, are they following each other? Did they post this, that he's reposting it? It's
Mhm.
not ever clickable, which
Never.
you know what I mean? You can't go to the post. So I'm always like, that's odd. But then they're there when I go and cross-reference. So there's something there.
Right.
There's something there for
From
that.
there, we just don't know
Where
what
there
the
is.
there
Right.
is,
And I
and the
think,
where's
was
the
it
there.
Zach Peters' video that you saw where that's the one I saw right before we got on
Zach,
live.
so, yeah, he used a Latin legal term.
I think
explained the
so, but I
term.
think because he said something about like also like if they had access to $27 billion,
Yes, that
why
was-
would they be stealing from these client funds to pay off, these lavish lifestyles? They would have had more than enough in there, which I agree with. I mean, that would be really ridiculous. Why would you jump over? But then the other
Over
stuff
that.
in there is
He
really
just
wild.
agreed.
But the thing to me is, okay, if you're doing stuff that is leading you to stick somebody with a regular $30,000 utility bill, they were living exceedingly and abundantly above their means. So whereas $24 billion would normally be a lot of money, but if you're going out and you're taking private jets for hour-long trips and all of these things, you can blow 24 billion rather fast.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I mean,
And that was the thing that got me. That's why I feel like the speeding and the greed, the spending, excuse me, and the greed is what got us here maybe so quickly. Maybe like if we weren't on the private jets and paying for those things, because you notice Erika and Tom never have an issue with paying staff. They're not Sheree. There's nobody ever coming out saying Tom Girardi didn't pay me. Did I say that?
Did you?
Not
Sheree's
saying
like,
that
how
Tom
did I
Girardi-
get in this?
Not see,
Why
not
are
see
you
how I
dragging-
get into it.
Listen, Sheree's got her little
She's got her own news.
Her
that's a whole other
nonsense going on.
disaster
Yeah.
waiting in the bushes.
But nobody is
nonetheless.
ever mentioning that. Their flight staff, their wait
Right.
staff, the stylists, the assistants, people are getting paid properly. And when you think about how expensive assistants are, I mean, I know they don't have nannies, but nanny chefs, cleaners, housekeepers, all of these things. What's
had
24
two-
billion?
Yeah, they had 2 private jets.
To my
I think
knowledge.
so. I think they did
Somebody
at
over here
one
said
point.
2 private jets.
Someone said not sure.
Not Sheree, baby. Not
Oh my
Sheree.
God. Don't do that to Sheree.
I'm so sorry, Sheree.
Someone's
Saying
gonna
pay your
cut this
bills, though.
episode up and say something about Sheree not having money.
I mean, listen, she might have the money, but I just feel like, the old Cat Williams with Whitney Houston, nobody says the same thing about you over and over and over again, and it's a lie.
Correct.
But sidebar, I just was like, again, because every episode they show her like absolutely gorgeous house, by the way. It's well done. Well
Oh,
done.
the house was beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So like
Amazing.
brava to her. But how much does that house cost to upkeep, do you think? Honestly, just
Baby.
the dusting alone. Look at her basement. Look at the whole, I mean, it's all open. So what
Money.
does that look like? What
How
does
much-
that look like? This
how
is not
much
what this episode's
does
about, but I'm just, it always
cost?
pops up in my mind. I'm like, man,
The upkeep is a lot. Keeping up the house is more than just, I can pay my mortgage and my insurance.
Correct.
You gotta actually like keep it looking nice and you gotta maintain it. So that's why it's like when she made that comment, now we're really going off the path, but when she made that comment about, was it her that made the comment about, no, it wasn't, but someone made a comment about Kenya needs to power wash. It was Marlo.
Oh, yes.
But it's just, that's
See,
the type of stuff you do have to do that you don't realize. I don't think
you
well,
have
some
to do
people
that.
don't.
It's a lot.
But see, like that's, I think
home is a lot.
Yeah.
that comment is exactly why I don't like how Kenya reads Marlo back. Kenya sets it, I mean, Marlo sets it up so easily for Kenya to read the mess out of her and neither one of them ever go personal. Because for me, and just in the context of the show, right? If you say to me, oh, you need to go power wash your house, I'm going to say, how can you say that when you literally had to cut square footage off to meet budget? Like, talk to me later. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff there that they give each other on the show that why are we talking about each other's kids?
Right.
That's what I never did.
Kind of why I bounce in and out of Atlanta, because sometimes it just gets a little too
dirty.
Yeah, a little too dirty.
Because it's only in Beverly Hills where people are so precious.
Precious, very precious. Now, as for what transpired when Erika made her return to the mainland, that is a $50,000, right?
50 million.
Mhm.
$50 million lawsuit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Edelson.
And then was it Friday? She said, I'm not returning the necklace. Was that Friday?
Is it no, wait. Was she supposed to turn over a necklace?
Was it earrings or the necklace? One of the two.
But I think they decided, well, she had turned them into a trust.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
She had handed them over a while until they figured out what they were going to decide to do. And they ultimately, obviously, were like, no, we're taking those diamond earrings. Sure. They're getting appraised. We're going to take the cash value and apply it to the creditors.
And great. So she is now appealing it.
Correct. She is appealing that. And that's something that Ronald Richards
had
lit her up for, because he had the documentation ready and he was just like, this is crazy. Basically, in a nutshell, his best friend. There, look at, okay. She came ready with
I told you I print, y'all.
He came with the printout.
I am.
It's the printout.
Sorry for the audio listeners, but you're not seeing that she's actually printed receipts.
I have printed. We have the office next door.
That's right.
Print. Yeah, so she appealed that, and I believe that was Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yep. So we have Friday. We are off in Honolulu, my favorite place that I've ever lived. One of them. She's enjoying herself. Comes back, gets handed the 50 million paperwork, and
had
then
the paperwork shoved at her. She aggressively took it.
So that's 3 hits right now. That's 3 hits. It is confusing. It adds more.
This many people are not coming after you legally for unfounded information. Like all of this whole, it's a lie. Oh, these people aren't telling the truth. It's time to let that narrative go.
But I think,
like, it's not.
I think what's also going on is everyone's just going to come after her, because it's, unfortunately, that's, if it wasn't Erika and it was Barbara, they'd all be doing the same thing to Barbara.
Yeah, they'd all be throwing the shade at Barbara. Yeah.
I think the difference she stole my wig too. I think the one thing with Erika that she always misses the beat on, and whether she's doing it carelessly because she doesn't care, and she's been telling us that, and we just need to accept it and move on. And I'm getting to that point. I am.
We need to
because
hear her.
I'm not really shocked by a lot of her behavior anymore. But with these types of things, you know, like she clearly follows Instagram accounts that talk about Bravo, even the small ones, because I see her commenting on them if she really is in that space.
Moved. Yep.
And again, today I see her, like, you know, basically laughing off this whole situation. Now, to be clear, guys, this lawsuit's not directly towards Erika. This is to Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. The people in the article that is mentioned, these are all alleged. So the point is, we're just discussing, like, where does something like this come from? Who, if it is in fact 80% false,
Mhm.
But, we still lean on, why are these names so specific? Why are these? So
It's very specific.
it's very specific. It's not a like generalized, oh, this is what we heard, and she played this character in this, I do get it. And to some degree, it does sound like a weird Lifetime movie.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It absolutely does. But so does every other housewife scandal. Like, you know what I mean? There was a time that we were listening to the Teresa scandal. Like, now they did what now? Now what happened? And you let them on TV?
Get a pile on though? Or, I mean, did Jen get all of this? I mean, Jen's was on the show, while the whole process was going on. It didn't grow legs. You know what I mean? It just kind of stayed, static.
Well, the problem, I don't understand. I really don't understand the logic behind this, but this is a tactic that I think a lot of people, like Tom got Erika on Housewives.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. There's a whole strategy behind that, which is why, look at it like this. Erika was working for two different people when she first got on there. She was on there to show a version of the life that Tom Girardi was this man he was known for. Aaron Brockovich. That's everything that came out of everybody's mouth. The first Aaron Brockovich. You saw the movie, right? You saw that's him.
Right.
She was never drinking. She never got sloppy. And if you remember when they were in France and Teddy and Kyle was the wee hours of the night, and they were all sitting in that other dining room, and they basically were like, we feel like you don't want to have fun. Like you sit there like mute, and you're very reserved and whatever. And she kind of got up and was like, keep going.
Not doing this. Good night.
Because she knew if she got drunk on camera and said something stupid,
that part,
or forgot she was mic'd, which by the way is very easy when you're filming a show for that long. You could go to the bathroom and think no one's in my face, and you say something about somebody, and guess what? They're going to plug that audio and make it seem like you said it somewhere else.
That happened to me.
Been there and been edited in a way that needed to fit a narrative. My point is to say she wasn't dumb. She knew she was going in there for a reason. And
even
now
her
that
voice
the chips
was
have
softer.
fallen, she's like now playing the drunk, messy, antidepressant, mixing margaritas. You know how it is.
Look at me. I'm just gonna be here while you guys have mess. I'm just gonna be over here drunk, like on that yacht.
Because you
but
can't
it always
use my words against me, because I'll be so drunk that it'll be so clear that I'm not coherent that you can't use that against me. And on top of it, this is a reality show based on entertainment.
Correct.
Enough said. You can't even use, they could try, but they really, even last season when they were like, we need the tapes. It's like,
I have a question, a comment over here. What does her son, the cop, think of all this?
That boy is so far removed. He left and ran.
Is he still digging out of the snow in Pasadena?
Listen, I think her son got the same mindset as her.
You think so?
Be grateful always. Support me when I need you. And keep yourself out of it. She's a Cancer. They are very box, organized, clean, don't mix and match too many things. So her son, that's why she's so, I've felt this from her. As soon as she started talking about her son, you can tell she's very guarded about him.
Guarded. She was ready to chop Eileen's head off.
And that was just a bad analogy. She wasn't even angry wasn't
even talking about her child specifically. But for me, it always flip-flops. When we first got Erika, it was very, Tom and I go on dates, and I'm just a lawyer's wife, and I'm there, and I'm getting him his coffee and fixing his tie before he leaves. Then it was, honey, he just met me at a bar. Like, I was the wife. I don't know nothing. I turned my checks over to him. I haven't seen a check since whenever. Now you can help somebody prepare for the LSATs. Like, I am confused. And that's where I think she loses it, because she's good, like you said, Giorgio, putting it in boxes and giving us different personalities, but it's different personalities from scene to scene, from season to season. So it's just like, now wait, which one is really happening?
Well, and that's the thing, the connection with this whole article or whatnot is it would implicate so many people that are on the Housewives cast, to your earlier points. So like, what
people
is this?
I
like
felt
some
like something was coming anyway with Mauricio, PK. Now I didn't know if it was directly tied to them, but I had made a TikTok a while ago and I had said, I think PK is going to be the next scandal. That robbery has never sat well with me. I just feel there's something, this may not be it. This could be a path to it. But here it is. This is the United States of America. This is rich people. This is business. This is fame. I wouldn't put any of this past any of them.
And I also think that that's part of the reason why LVP was like, I'm gonna take all my toys out the sandbox and I'm gonna go, because I see where this is going.
Exactly. It's like Camille, LVP, LA, Hollywood, like that community when you're at certain levels is not a huge community.
No. It gets very small as you get closer.
Very small.
And so you can just be sitting at a party and hear way more than you bargained for.
Absolutely. And I have
love to get yes.
Sometimes you wish you didn't hear it because you're like, these people have enough money to get rid of me and nobody would know.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like, that's the thing. You don't know what's really going on. But I will say that in this world, this industry rather, you have to play up on marketing and branding every single day to stay relevant. And it's no different for a housewife. And it's no different for them promoting the show and making sure it is an absolute hit because it helps everyone, right? It's a whole team effort, production, all of that, all the way up to the network. But lately, it just seems like production and casting are going with people that they know have some weird shit going on.
Right.
Someone just said on here, there's no way Bravo's doing
background checks. They interview people that know you. They talk to people before they do this. So like, even with Jen Shaw, like, do I think they knew 100% about what she was doing? No, but they knew something was weird about that, where that money was coming from. But the thing is about these, I call them characters at this point,
which they are,
is they expose themselves without realizing it, and they think what they're doing is deflecting from something, when all it's doing is making people ponder, wait, how does she afford a $40,000 a month glam squad? Wait, she
and 5
started
assistants
charting when she got on the Real Housewives. Before that, she was like, who?
Right.
And then you're going on full-blown tours, dear, that are not making a return. You're losing money every time.
And now you're on Broadway.
People who are just in what I would say in real life are the people that question everything and they're very investigative. We all know those people. It's like, you can't just give them one answer because then they dig even a layer deeper. But what were you doing the night before? And So I just feel like,
you said what now?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, Diane Sawyer, let's calm down. But I think that the problem is that I lost my train of thought because we went into investigate. What was I even talking about?
People digging and looking for questions.
Kind of how the whole process of the show is, and getting on the show and being on the show when you're doing dirty deeds.
Yes, thank you. So like, the point is like, the producer gets to know them too. Like, it's not like they just sit for interviews once a week. They're going to dinner. They're getting drunk with them after dinner. They are friends.
Yep.
At least for the 4 months that they're filming, they're friends. They speak all the time. They're on the phone. They pay attention at parties when someone's not doing, like, what's going on there? What is that feeling? And it's like you're in a box with therapy. every day. And
Yeah.
anything you say can and will be used for a narrative.
For their narrative.
For a narrative, for a story, for a shift, for a
They all
comeback.
play into the antics because, well, not all of them, but some of them play into it more. Brenna, I'm talking to you, girl. I love her, but I can still be upset with her at the same. It's a very strange relationship I have with her.
It is. Listen,
It's
so
understandable.
strange, so strained. Like, Lisa Rinna, I love you, girl. Unblock me, okay? Like, what you said was wrong. And I feel like that's a healthy relationship. I have to be able to let you know,
Right.
that wasn't it.
Now, can you, I have it over here somewhere because I have 3 stacks. The $50 million lawsuit. There
Mhm.
was another actor's wife or ex-wife who used Girardi keys.
Wasn't it Nicolas Cage's?
Nicolas
Yes.
Cage's ex-girlfriend, no, or right? They weren't
Ex-girlfriend.
married.
It was the
In a car
ex-girlfriend, I
accident.
think.
Yes,
Yeah.
and had been in a car accident. So upwards of $1 million, and she didn't get it.
No, she got, I want to say it was like 50,000
Mhm.
of it. Now, the one thing that I did like about her lawsuit was sis was like, I just want the rest of my money. If you look at the amount that she's suing for, it literally adds up to what she says she already got. This
Right.
was the difference. I'm not looking, from what I saw, she wasn't suing for any demotional duress or anything like that.
Right.
Just give me my money.
Just give me
my money. I was in a car accident. This is mine.
Yep.
Give it to me.
And as I was
Which is
speaking
fair.
with my,
Right.
my folks over here on my live before we all connected, I was speaking about the burn victim on Housewife and the Hustler. Because the air crash is one thing and it's
Mhm.
horrible. But the young guy sitting in his home with his girlfriend,
With the gas explosion.
gas, and I mean that part where he explained how Tom personally talked him into this investment with his money. The most disgusting thing about that is this man, just like Nicolas Cage's ex-girlfriend, and if I had her name in front of me, I know it's to the right, I would use it, not, this man needs the money for therapy. He needs this money to live.
It's like they're getting F twice.
Even if you took all the needs away for what the money's for,
Uh-huh.
it's due to him.
Mhm.
Period.
Mhm.
Like in my mind, I was tired of, not in a bad way, but I was tired of him justifying why he needed the money. No,
Absolutely. It's yours.
what you went
It's
through,
your money.
I don't care what you do with the money. Take it. It's the least. You know what
Correct.
I'm saying? There's a part of his life he'll never get
that's-
back. Money will not bring that part of his life back.
Right. It won't bring
So
his
that's the
girlfriend
least
back.
they could do.
Right.
Have to check and keep it moving, and you
And
guys would
keep
still
it
be better
moving.
for it.
Correct.
But that's the thing that gets me. It's not like, it would be wrong if he worked for this money and Tom stole it from him. That would be wrong too, right? Because you're not
Right.
supposed to do this. But this person was injured. He was sitting in his living room. The victims of the plane, all of these victims, car accidents, these
Right.
people literally sacrificed their bodies.
Right.
And by the grace of God and the strength that they had within them, they're still here.
They're here.
That's theirs. If you can take from that, that's gross. But the man said it in Housewife and the Hustler. He was like, first of all, just flaunting your money based on what you do in order to make your money is in poor taste.
It is.
I can agree to that. I mean, you gotta have some integrity.
Yeah.
Just a
You know,
smidge.
like I get it. Like, listen, there's things that we all have to do sometimes. I mean, we don't have to do anything. Let's be clear. But
We just
there's
have to wake
things,
up and go to sleep.
we.
Stay black and die.
I mean, you could literally.
That's all I got to do.
You could literally just sit in bed all day
You could.
and let life just do
You
what it's
could.
gonna do,
Happen.
right? But then, people that are obviously now, I think Housewives has changed. I think the people that are trying to get on it has changed.
Yes.
And I get everything needs to evolve, but I think the formula, especially in Beverly Hills, is gotten to a point, specifically in the last 2 seasons, where you see it's always a takedown
Mhm.
Mhm.
and you kind of always know that it's going to be that type of
Who the
season from
target is.
episode 1, because
Right.
and those photos of Rinna, Diana, and Erika in Hawaii before they came back, the ones
yeah.
where she's really really
Oh,
angry
she's
looking
intense.
and someone.
No, she
That
was-
could have just been her talking, because lately she seethes when she just has normal conversation, it seems. But whatever the case is, I feel like there's something about that photo in particular that stood out to me, because it makes it feel
this
like
one?
yeah, that one exactly,
So
where
I-
it's like I don't get a good vibe from that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to say, like, it comes off like either they're talking about what's going on Housewives, or how they're trying to maneuver through
Mhm.
Housewives stuff.
Mhm.
I do think Diana Jenkins is going to be somewhat of a saving grace to Erika, though.
You think so?
I do. I don't know how yet, but I just feel like there's some sort of, I mean, it's clear from Erika's side that she has a very strong, attachment to Diana's life.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's the mid-season trailer. It just seems like they've got Diana in a place, and I feel like Erika's really staying on that
Under her
trail, if
wing.
you will, because of maybe it's advice, or maybe she's got a lot of connections. I'm just saying.
She's got connections. She's got a lot of
That
money.
Rolodex is worth probably a lot of money in and of itself.
I was about to say the
A lot of
Rolodex
money.
is big, and if let's just say she just is a matchmaker, like let's just go with that. You know what I mean? Like she knows other wealthy people that might like Erika, and that Erika might like.
I mean,
But that picture
really
did feel like
a fair
a
play.
bad paparazzi moment, though, because that could have really been anything. That could have been like, "Oh, I'm so angry," and then it could have been, and then she said that one could have been anything, and that one just kind of felt like a bad.
I like to think that she saw Ron's tweet about the necklace and that it was bothering her in paradise. Or it could have been that she doesn't like the way, honestly, this is the first time in a long time I have seen a Housewives fandom united, has been this Beverly Hills season. Usually Twitter is a hot mess during a
There's a divide
always. And so many people who normally would be screaming at each other are all in agreement about
all
things.
in agreement.
Diana,
Diana Jenkins next
think
season,
about
and Erika looks bad.
what Erika said to Garcelle's children. Like everybody is in the same accord.
Housewives now that have been in the industry in any capacity know they can create a narrative in the press, on social media. And I think that's exactly what we get now, specifically with Beverly Hills. Like, it's almost as if they all sit together and say, okay, Elle,
This is what we're doing.
I'm going to be going through this season, so you're going to have to come at me with these types of questions. Got it? Okay. And then, you know what I mean? And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I feel like they all give each other the lowdown of what they are going to have in terms of a storyline. And that's their way to create boundaries with each other, I think, as well. Which in
Well, that's
normal
why I feel like-
circumstances would be fine, right? I would be on board with that if me and my real friend were going on a show that had a formula like that. I would say, okay,
Thank you.
what are our boundaries?
Correct.
Thank
Let's
you.
play this game, but let's be on the same page about it so no one feels some type of way.
Some type of way.
Right.
Which is why I always say in my brain, I'm an executive producer of the new shows that are coming out. And I feel like there should be a 5-season minimum.
Oh,
Like, period,
yes.
because like we said earlier on the live, once you get to a point where you have so much to lose and it becomes, not talking about that. I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about that. Like,
Yeah.
boo, tomato, tomato.
Right. No,
But
I
also,
agree.
what are all these things that you can't talk about either? Like,
A
how,
husband?
well, the husband, the this lawsuit, that lawsuit,
Well, Phaedra is allegedly that the Dungeon Gate story came from a producer. And Phaedra just decided to take the L. So in order for Phaedra to tell her story or her side, she would have to admit that now production was in on this, which Candy Burris is coming with the lawsuit. Production, Bravo was in on this. That's not going to do anything but fuel NeNe's lawsuit. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think, and based on the tea, allegedly, Phaedra's just taking one for the team. She took her hiatus. She did the Braxton. She did some other reality shows, and now she's back.
Do you think she's going to be on Dubai next season?
I would love that.
I
would love that.
Listen, I think they're teeing her up for it.
Yeah.
And then
There's
allegedly,
no damn way that she's friends with Caroline, but nonetheless, it's cute that they try to make that connection like they were friends, because when I was watching it, it looked like Caroline was a fan, like she was just meeting someone.
Caroline was so excited that she.
Oh my
was
gosh,
there. That was not her friend coming in. That was not her friend coming in at all.
No,
but
allegedly, like, when would they have met if Carolyn's from, Massachusetts?
Boston, right? Correct. Yeah.
Phaedra's down in Atlanta. When would this have happened? We never saw Carolyn in anything in Atlanta. So
nothing.
But
allegedly Ex-Wives Club is getting their spinoff too. So we'll see Phaedra there if that happens.
I like Phaedra, she would never be my lawyer, but I like the entertainment and the drama. And there's plenty of interpersonal drama and entertainment, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, in a group of people. So the legal stuff, just to me, it's like, it's just not necessary. Like all this off-season stuff, all this legal stuff, we can get enough. Like, does Bravo not understand that we are watching and we are fed with some organic, some manufactured stuff, right?
I think production is not even producing anything at this point. I think the women know that they will not stay on if they don't bring something to the table. I think they're self-producing. There's a lot, and I will say this: I have been a loyal Atlanta fan since day one. It is getting to the point where it's becoming challenging for me to sit through an episode because there's too many produced scenes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's like that in a lot of shows. I just feel like with Atlanta for this particular season, they had a lot riding on the fact that they weren't gonna have Portia. Okay. You only have Cynthia Bailey now.
No Cynthia, yeah.
Cynthia's out. And I'm sorry, people thought Cynthia was boring. She added to the show though.
Well, you need a narrator. You need somebody there. And like for Beverly Hills, I think that's Garcelle. She's bringing her talk show host kind of skills. I like some of the questions that she asks. And I like that she
producers questions.
I was just about to say, you like when she produces her scene.
She's professional, to your point, very talk show. She'll say, okay, what's the brief? What are we talking about today? I'm going to dinner. And they're like, okay, try to get this out of Erika. She's like, all right, cool.
She'll bring it up in front of the person, unlike Kyle, who does the 14-year-old behind the back thing. I'm just going to drop
and then the bad game of telephone, even once you tell me.
Right. So yeah, Cynthia was kind of like, I don't know, like the older sister kind of in a way.
She was like the voice of reason.
A voice of reason. Yeah.
And that's why I liked it. It balanced. I don't want every episode like, get out of my face. Don't put your finger. And it's like, guys, this is not the way. You don't have to do this. You really don't.
Have to do that.
Marlo could have stayed Marlo when she was friend of, but because they've given her a peach now, I get it. She's an Aquarius. They over deliver when they're underserved. Like they're probably like, all right, try to drag something out of some of these ladies that are quite comfortable, in my opinion. Candy. I love Candy, but Marlo's making her earn her check this season. She is going after her left and right.
But I didn't like, to your point, not only do we not need the every episode, clearly these girls don't want to give it to us. Kenya running around that house, refusing to talk to her when Marlo originally started out with, hey, meet me in my room. When she started off on some grown woman, running away from her in that house and then telling Marlo not to address her directly makes me feel like, again, what are we doing here? Because you keep telling me, Bravo, Atlanta, that we're selling sisterhood. And at the end of the day, we should come back. Well, this person, whether or not you like why we got here, is trying to piece this up. And your response is, don't talk to me directly. What exactly are we doing?
Right.
No, I thought that was really childish of her.
It was
Not
rude.
getting
It was
not
honestly
like-
gross.
Childish on my side over here. A lot of people say that they think a lot of stuff is juvenile and childish that's going on.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's juvenile. Like it's
not
like
cute.
below their grade.
Yeah.
You guys are too
Hello?
successful for these types of spats. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you really drove to Petco and bought a doggy bone just to plan that you were going to throw it at her. That
Yeah,
doesn't scream produced. I don't know
No.
what does. Why would you?
In the
and that's
middle
why
of
I
a
think they even
recession,
called
and
her
you don't
out.
even
Like,
own a
you
dog?
don't have a
this
dog,
economy, in this economy.
but you don't
In
even
this
have a dog.
economy.
That makes it worse.
Yeah.
It was
You
but
went and
then
bought it.
Batum running after her after she ran away. Oh, come back. Like, what? As if you're as successful as you're telling us that you are, what is the need to quite literally chase behind somebody to have an argument?
It's
Well,
ridiculous. That's why I post that old school the other day, the wig fight
Mm-hmm.
with Nene and Kim and Sheree, because that was like when Atlanta was just so good.
Top tier, Carlos King era.
Top tier.
You guys don't even
Lindsay
know.
and Daddy.
Atlanta
Lindsay-
at that moment was peak reality TV. I don't care what
Yep.
was on. Sundays after brunch
Yep.
and mimosas, it was back at someone's place to
To
watch. But why were we watching? Because of Nene and Kim.
The Nene Kim
Nene,
dynamic.
that dynamic was everything.
I miss that moment. I mean, we'll never get that Kim back. Well, even if they made up, those two women are completely different now. But that
Completely different.
dynamic at that moment.
She invited me out here, said it was gonna be a girls' trip. I knew it wasn't gonna be no girls' trip. Like, oh my God, top.
They
This
were
is
talking
why,
about
though.
that wig fight on the news.
Exactly. And that's the
Never.
thing. They and let's be clear. So when she gloats on herself and these people in the comments want to tell her to go home and go call on someone else's door, easier said than done. Because I'll tell you this much. If there was any one of us that had helped to build something and watch it grow into something that is ultimately putting a lot of people on the map and helping them make money, and then you turn around and get treated that way, regardless of what the opinion is on either side, I don't know. I always have a soft spot for Nene just because I feel like she,
So do
and
I.
more so than Vicky. Like I get Vicky in her like rants about how she started Housewives. You're the franchise that you were on
shop.
started it. The
Y'all,
only person that
last
can
night is-
say that Beverly Hills is
know.
their show is Kyle Richards, because that was her whole thing. She tried to get, and I'm so mad at myself. There was 4 years ago, I was scrolling on YouTube and someone had leaked or posted on YouTube a demo pilot episode for a show with Kyle, Kim, and Kathy. And the premise was, and I watched it, it was horrible, but it was clearly a pilot. It was very low budget, but it was them basically going around Los Angeles, this one particular episode, and they were feeding like homeless people or asking them why or how they got here. Like you could tell they were trying to drum up something to sell as an idea. I went back the like month ago and it's obviously cleaned off because I'm sure like,
Right.
why would you let that float around? So I was really upset because there's a whole Reddit thread where someone posted the link in it and said, oh, this is wild. But that's around the time when Kyle was trying to get them to do something. And then when Housewives was a thing, she kind of connected the dots. And that's why season 1, she was instrumental in helping the storylines move along. If you notice, like they played up really well the conversation that happened off camera. And that's not something that reality shows like. We don't want to spend too much time on something that didn't get on camera because no one's ever going to get an answer. We can't manipulate it either way. But she did a good job of manipulating and gaslighting Camille without Camille realizing it and that's why I think even now Camille, and I'm not saying that because she's a friend of mine, but she picked up on the game very early on.
Very, very quickly. But the thing with Vicky, and I think people don't realize, is when Vicky's son saw the little thing in the classifieds, it was supposed to be about the children. The show was supposed to be called Behind the Gates. And when they came to his house to interview him, Vicky stole the show. And then if that wasn't enough, they said, okay, scrap the kids. Cool. A lot of parents were saying no too. They said, scrap the kids. We'll use this Vicky lady. Then it wasn't even called Housewife. I think it was still called Behind the Gates, but it was supposed to be a new ensemble every season, like The Real World.
Oh.
And when they aired the first season, Vicky's response was so, the audience response to Vicky was so strong that they said, okay, let's scrap the Real World idea. We won't do another cast. And then that's when they started with the ensemble. So when Vicky does say like, this is my show, or when she says, I didn't audition for this, yes, there's a tape after that because it's filming. You have to do all of that. But Vicky's son answered that call. That was about the kids. Like, this is quite literally her thing.
I mean, this is how it worked back then, though. It was a classified ad most of the time on Craigslist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned this because back in, I think it was like 2009, it was back then, it was called Fine Living Network, was doing kind of like a Jeff Lewis type show, kind of like this crazy interior designer. And the ad was very clear. And, you know, I grew up of the mindset of like, I have the Hills mindset. I'm going to do what the producer wants me to do.
Right.
So I answered the ad and I basically was like, whatever role, because it was supposed to be a blind date. That's what it was. I was going to go on a blind date with them. And he was, you know, he's very out there and da-da-da-da. So I answered the ad and I was very clear. And I said, whatever you need me to do.
Yeah.
You want me to be a villain? I'll be a villain. Tell me what time, what place. So I did all that, shot the episode. It was wild. We shot 2 different versions, one where he walks out, one where I make a fool of him. You know what I'm saying? So it was wild. But yes, you answered an ad back then. Now you have full-on casting people on TikTok and Instagram being like,
and Twitter.
Break up with your man. We're doing a sexy love your father-in-law's brother island show. And we think you'd be good for it. So it's wild how things have evolved for casting for these shows and the types of people that go on these shows.
Oh yeah, we discussed that the other day, how, because we were talking about Big Brother. Been on 24 seasons. I've been watching since season 1, and it went from casting everyday people who enjoyed the game, right? The whole game, and then it switched to the Instagram model, you know, to the character, the Staten Island. They always Staten Island. Like every season, there's at least one.
At least one. At this point, Staten Island got to be mad.
Yeah, right.
Oh, they're like, don't come here again.
Yeah, they're recruiting people, and to me, that's kind of sad because the roots of the game is a game. So if you're recruiting somebody because they have, you know, pecs or whatever, and you're overlooking the 40-year-old, you know, guy or the 45-year-old woman who has loved this game for 20 something years, you know,
but I do think we're
going to notice.
I do think we're getting back in that direction though, right? I think we have broken the fourth wall. We've seen behind. We know all of these celebrities, not all of them, but a lot of these celebrities are scheming and scamming, right? We've been to the other side. And now I think we are going to see an uptick in these competitor game shows again, like early 2000s. Like Survivor, even though it's been around as long as it has been, it's getting another win. Like you got The Circle, and I think we're going to start seeing more game show reality TV because we're going to be back, just like cell phones and stuff, everything gets really, really big, and then people want smaller ones, and then we go as small as we can, and then people need big ones again. Laptops, all of that. I think we're getting ready to be in that circle.
I have somebody in my room who went through the interview process for the first Big Brother.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes.
I went through the second or third round of Paris Hilton's My BFF for season 2.
I remember that one.
Wow,
For
look
the
at
second
you.
season. Oh, are you kidding me? I used to slut myself out to any reality show. If I saw a camera in the room, I was like, where's
where are you
police
going?
from? They'd be like, sir, we're just filming like a nationwide insurance ad. I'm like, oh, fuck out of here. But yes,
My husband did So You Think You Can Dance, and he made it, I want to say like to the third or fourth round. And where he got out was like, he's like hip hop or whatever. And they were trying to give him like classical training and he just couldn't pick it up as quickly. But they were like, listen, come back. Like, you got it.
But I will say this, you meet great connects if you are trying to break into that. Going through those, just like I was told a long time ago, even if you're not interested in the show, apply, because you get to meet producers who leave and go and do other stuff. They like stuff like that. So I always tell people, like, don't say no, say yes till you have to say no. If it's really not something you want to do, fine, but be open to stuff if that's something that you're
to
looking
that.
to get into.
Samuel L. Jackson actually did an interview and he said he felt like that's what kind of set him apart in the industry when he was first starting out, like he's not making a lot of money, but he said he would go and talk to all of the producers, all of the cameramen, everybody who helps make this thing a thing. And what happened is eventually these PAs become producers and they're casting. And then it's like, hey, you were so nice to me. And some of the people he's like, I honestly don't even really remember. And they'll come back and be like, you spoke to me and that changed my life on that day. I was having a real hard day at work. I see you for this role. Right. And a lot of doors, he said, opened up for him because he saw production, because he saw the people that actually make him who he is. Because if I'm not produced well, if I'm not directed well, if I'm not shot well, what is this movie?
I mean, listen, if you don't have all those people
with respect at every level.
Correct. That's the main thing.
Always.
Yes.
And you can't, it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that people judge people based on what they do for a living is beyond me.
Right.
It's beyond me, because it's like, well, who do you like? It doesn't matter. Right. But for some reason, it holds this like stigma, and people are like, no, I have to have this title, and I want to.
People want to know what box to put you in, how to treat you. Like when I stopped answering the question of what I do, and this was when we lived like, in the apartment buildings or the whatever. And my husband and I are fairly young. So it was always in the elevator. Oh, what do you do? Oh, what do you do? The looking up and down, looking at the shoe, looking at my ring. And I was like, these people are trying to figure out how to address me as if me being a human being isn't enough to say hello. So I started asking, people would say, oh, what do you do? The most. With a straight face. Oh, what do you do for a living? The most.
Because they can't, you weed people out, when you do that.
Yeah, like do you want to talk now?
The thing is, too, people ask you what you do for a living to see how much time they should spend engaging you, because to them, it's like, are you going to take me to the next level or not? Yeah. No? Yep. Bye.
Are you beneficial to me? Nope. Okay, bye.
I used to say I was a trophy wife. And then I would smile and wink when I said it, which meant that's all you're getting from me. If you want to have a conversation, we'll talk. But I told her I'm a trophy wife, and they knew it was tongue in cheek. But they also knew from my face that was all they were going to get.
That's it. My favorite is before the pandemic, because I homeschool my daughter and my husband's a firefighter. So he doesn't work, Monday through Friday or whatever. And we would go to the mall and midday, 1:00, and my daughter's with me. I mean, you would see people breaking their necks looking at us. I would have sales associates look at my shoes before they looked at me, like just every single thing other than, how can you afford to be in this mall in the middle of the day?
Don't worry about it. It will give you less wrinkles if you mind your own business.
I've also learned to stop caring. So what are our takeaways from this whole article?
What are our takeaways, folks, over here?
Like, what are we taking away from it? Do we think there's merit to it?
I definitely think there's merit.
Or the civil suit?
The civil suit.
Wow.
I think there's merit.
I'm going to wait another day or two.
You're gonna let it sink in?
I want to see what pops up on the Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, this is all still like really early stages, so we'll have to see how this evolves.
Yes.
You
That's what I
will.
was gonna say. I think there's merit, but I definitely think there's things that have to be weeded out. I don't think there's that much merit. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I think there will be some names and some people that are flushed out, and some of the ooh ah factor will be taken out. But I do think that there's something there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
For
that
sure.
someone over here saying the same thing. The names that were mentioned, I think that's the part that's really
That's what's
got
sticking out the most,
yeah, that's
almost.
sticking out. Because if somebody put me in a civil suit that was just horse shit,
Yeah.
I'd be at my attorney. Like, what would
Correct.
be
No, it's wild.
for?
That's why it's so wild. Those names.
Yeah.
I think that's if those names weren't in it, I'd probably be like, yeah, it's probably just some
Yeah,
like
whatever. But
But
those
I
are
already
some
know
names.
Very
Mauricio
specific.
was on the road to harming his image already before this happened. Like, we talked about that. Because the way he spoke about just the way he's acting this season, I was looking forward to the agency on Netflix. I really was. And I think I might still talk about what's coming, but I love real estate. There's an agency here where I live that just opened. So I was interested to see what was going to happen, but I've been shocked at his behavior this season.
well,
Really shocked.
I was until I did my reading with Femme Tarot for my
Okay.
Patreon, and the things that she said was
Top tier. Now,
wild.
you can always
Wild.
tell the end is coming when whatever franchise ups their cameras. When that camera budget gets up, when they get a little bit crisper, that's when you know things are going down.
Yeah, something the vibe. There is something in the vibe this season. Oh, and another thing I saw on Twitter, y'all, if anybody has an answer, why hasn't Diana been on Watch What Happens Live?
Andy
Because
know
she
we'll
doesn't
eat
want
that
to.
ass
Yep,
up.
and Andy doesn't want to mess with ratings and have people be pissed off. It's I can assure you, if she comes on, it's gonna be after like
Yeah,
a
and I
while,
think
like
Phil-
maybe
Okay.
later in the season when the Kathy stuff.
Kristen from Philly Diva was mentioned like twice on page 6. Page 6 did like 2
Wow.
articles on
Correct.
Diana Jenkins with what was said, and Andy only did that one addressing of the situation when Garcelle was on there. So there's so much left unsaid that it's not a good PR move for Bravo to have Diana on.
It's not good. It's not. It's
None
not.
of it is really. I mean, if she, well, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how she looks the rest of the season. Based on the trailer, I can kind of see what direction she's going in. So,
Mhm.
but it'd be more interesting to see what she has to say about the Kathy stuff, because it seems like she did have some
Oh
sort of
man.
like
Yeah, she had
situation where
anything to
she-
say.
I'm
Stop looking over
ready.
here at me. Go look at that.
Right, correct.
I am ready for this week. I am ready to see what happens on Housewives of Beverly Hills and Dubai. I think this week's going to be an interesting week.
It is.
I think
And
so.
I'm ready. Both episodes ended on a to be continued. So we'll have a lot to
We
chat
have a
about.
lot to talk about this week on Thursday. And I would love to chat with Giorgio and Housewives and Chit Chat together again. I know my
Yes.
room enjoyed it.
I was just gonna say, I
Definitely
hope you
will.
guys come back.
Yeah.
So we can do this more often. And also let everyone know where they can find you guys on the socials.
I am on Instagram, I am on YouTube, and I am on TikTok as the real boring housewife. So it's reality content and it's housewife stuff because I'm actually a housewife, an unindicted one.
Real boring, unindicted housewife.
Unindicted, but I have had a fantastic life, couple of marriages, lived all over the world. And I love to talk about it. I love to help people. So yeah, that's where I am.
Amazing.
I am Housewife in Chit Chat on everything, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I'm Housewife in CC on Twitter because Chit Chat was too long. And then Tyler and I, Real Boring Housewife, and I do every Thursday on TikTok Live. The name of our show is pending right now.
If you guys have a suggestion, we talk about the shows. We talk about a little bit of Big Brother right now because it's on. And we just kind of talk about what's going on. We like pop culture, life questions, whatever.
The fans have just asked us for a Ask the Housewives segment. So on Thursdays, we will have the Ask the Housewives, and it can be anything from relationship to life advice because we are both real housewives.
Real.
But yeah,
Real.
just
Perspective
chatting
helps.
about the TV that we like.
And Giorgio is on TikTok. Giorgio is on Instagram. Giorgio has this amazing podcast here.
Thank
So
you,
you can
guys.
find him wherever. Giorgio says you can
And
find
the
him wherever.
Patreon.
And Patreon, baby.
Yes.
Yes,
Patreon.
plug my shit, girl. No.
Looking you, baby.
It's
And I like,
Patreon. Yes, it's patreon.com/Giorgio says. It's
Yes.
it's bonus episodes, but I'm going into the thick of it, if you will. And it's just too hot for
Okay.
TikTok and Instagram. So check that
Okay.
out.
Too hot for Instagram and TikTok.
Yes,
Little
and every
47,
Friday there's a new
88 a year.
episode. Every Friday there's a new episode that drops. And this Friday I'm dropping the deep dive on the Hilton and Kardashian blueprint.
oh,
So that'll be good and juicy. And
Yes.
so yeah, so I'm cooking up some things. But well,
yeah.
thank you
Let's
guys.
do it. Let's pin something down. Giorgio,
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Yeah.
having us.
Thank
Hi, and thanks
Thank
for
you
jumping
guys for
on.
your art and for your time. I am a fan of both of you guys.
I'm a
so
fan of
thank
y'all.
you.
Oh, I'm a
I
fan
love
of you
Giorgio.
guys. Are you kidding? Anyways, I appreciate you guys jumping on short notice. We will do this again. And Elle, Tyler, thank you so much again
Thank
for your
you.
perspectives and just keeping it fresh, because sometimes everyone just likes to reread articles over and over again. So it's nice to have some fresh perspective.
Yes.
And until next time, I will see you both on TikTok, but everyone else, I will talk to you next week. And if you're a Patreon member, I will talk to you on Friday. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.